أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أرواحنا له فداء. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and Juma Mubarak. This year of 2020 is nearing its end. In fact, when the upcoming holidays come about, we know that this year is beginning to wrap up. People begin to prepare for the Thanksgiving break, Thanksgiving holiday, and then thereafter Christmas, and then before you know it, the new year would be coming in. When we reflect upon this year, and this is the time that we need to begin to reflect upon this year of 2020 and the challenges that we have faced in this particular year, one with the pandemic, also with a number of cases of violence against people of color, and just people in general. 2020, we can say, has been a challenge of our humanity, a moment for us to reassess. And this is what we should be doing at this moment as we are wrapping up this year, to reassess ourselves and our humanity. Of course, as we begin to prepare for the upcoming holiday, which is next week to be exact, we're preparing for what many call Thanksgiving. But for others, it is a national day of mourning. This is not to say that it is not a day of giving thanks, yes, but we need to do so in the correct perspective. What will help us to put that in perspective, I believe, is one of the verses of the Quran, verse 70 of Surah Al-Isra, so chapter 17 of the Quran, verse 70, wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states that He has honored Bani Adam, the children of Adam. And we have carried them throughout the land and the sea, and we have provided for them, provided sustenance for them, min at-tayyibat, of that which is good and wholesome. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states that, and we have preferred them, or in other words, we have blessed them, blessed Bani Adam, the children of Adam, over much of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. This alone is enough to give thanks for. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states that He is karramna, He's honored the children of Adam. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He makes this statement, it means for all of the Bani Adam, all of the different tribes and nations that have sprung forth from the offspring, the loins of our prophets and our forefather Adam alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored all of mankind, what He's saying. He has honored all of humanity. And this is something to be grateful for, to be thankful for. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has allowed us to explore the seas and land, to travel across the sea, travel across the land. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us sustenance, has provided us from the land and provided for us from the sea, that we may, again, sustain ourselves, that we may live, we may survive, we may continue our existence, or at least worldly existence as well. And all of this is from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states, At-Tayyibat. And moreover, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He states, He says, وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. More than this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us over much of His creation. And if we take this moment to reassess our humanity so that we may be informed about our humanity, so that we may reflect about our humanity, so that we may be grateful and thankful for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us and what He has blessed us with. We see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has blessed humanity physically and spiritually. In the physical sense, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us over animals, the common animals. As we understand, not only from the Quran, but also from the traditions and riwayat of the Ahlul Bayt, alayhim afdalus salatu wassalam, that animals, they operate based on instinct, and they do not have intellect the way that we have intellect. Yes, there are some animals you can say that they're smart, and some will learn sign language, and they have their own methods of communication, but those animals are not able to build civilizations the way we have been able to build civilizations. The buildings, the skyscrapers, the technology that we have been able to build and to produce. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us physically in our bodies, the way our bodies move and function, the way we are able to, again, use tools that other animals are not able to use tools. He has blessed us in our intellect and our understanding that other animals and creatures do not have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also blessed us spiritually as well. And He has blessed us spiritually over angels. And this is because angels, when they are commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have no other alternative but to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. They don't have any desires that are pulling at them whereby they begin to weigh that whether they want to do this or not. No, they do it. They don't have that nafs that may pull them away, that kind of, you could say, animalistic instinct that pulls them away from the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is something that as human beings, we have to deal with. And if we are able to soar beyond that instinct, animalistic instinct, or those cravings and desires, and to hone our spirituality, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran, and as Ahlul Bayt, alayhim afdalus salatu wassalam, the Prophet and the Imma, alayhim afdalus salatu wassalam, as they have stated, that the status of man will be higher than that of angels. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He told all of those who were in the angelic realm to prostrate before Adam. So these are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with over other creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, other of His creations. He has blessed us, you could say, with this potential to excel and to soar beyond just animals and also that of angels. But if we do not hone that potential, we do not recognize that potential, if we're not grateful and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that potential and we neglect it, then we will steep lower than even animals. And this is something that tests our humanity every day. It tests our humanity every year. And this is why I'm saying that when we are embarking upon this holiday, which is coming up, that we should prepare for that and really reflect upon what we are thankful for and why we are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what can we do in order to truly show that we appreciate all of this blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us, this potential that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in us as human beings, as His greatest creation, as we come to understand through the statements of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One way to show this gratitude and to understand that and to appreciate what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and for us to reflect upon what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. A beautiful statement by Imam al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi afdal salatu wasalam, where he states, he says about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah خلق الإنسان ذا نفس ناطقة إن زكاها بالعلم فقد شابحت جواهر الأوائل عللها وإذا اعتدل مزاجها وفارقت الأضداد فقد شارك بها السبع الشداد. The Imam, or at least what is ascribed to the Imam, he explains that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created mankind with nafsin natiqah, with an intellectual aptitude, we can say, or with that nafs, or with that soul, or that spirit, which carries with it an intellectual aptitude. In zakaha, as the Imam says, and if that intellectual aptitude is purified through knowledge. And of course, the way to purify that intellectual aptitude through knowledge is to understand that knowledge that has been given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the Ma'sumin, by the Prophet himself, by the Ai.imma alayhim afdal salatu wasalam. So if we purify that intellectual aptitude, فَقَدْ شَابَحَتْ جَوَاهِرَ أَوَائِلِ عِلَلِهَا, then insan, mankind, and that intellectual aptitude will resemble that first gem, that first, you could say, light, or that first spark from which we have been created. According to some of the commentary on this particular hadith, or what is a hadith narrated or attributed to Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salatu wasalam, they say that this is aql al-awwal, or the primary intellect, which that primary intellect, as some say, is the light of Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Or likewise, one could say that that primary spark, or what we have come from, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is, of course, all intellectual aptitude is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then we will be in line, in other words. We'll be aligned with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll be aligned with that blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us over many of his creation. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he expresses it this way. He says, وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ, and that we have blessed the children of Adam عَلَى كَثِيرٍ, over many. مِمَّا خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا, over many. But it takes us to use that potential that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in order to excel beyond the other creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we do so through our knowledge and understanding of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us and directed us towards living a life of righteousness, or living a life of goodness, then yes, we will excel. The Imam, he also states, وَإِذَا اعْتَدَلَ مِزَاجُهَا, and if that mazaj, if the temperament of that creation is balanced. So we need two things, what Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, he's pointing out, in order to benefit from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that potential that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. One is to purify our intellect through knowledge. And the second one is to balance our temperament. He says, وَإِذَا اعْتَدَلَ مِزَاجُهَا وَفَارَقَتِ الْأَضْدَادِ, and by balancing our temperament, then we are separating ourselves from, again, low desires, from those things which counter our state of being balanced. So in other words, we move away from those things which may trigger us from becoming imbalanced and not acting as we should, like true human beings. And if we do that, as the Imam, he points out, he says, فَقَدْ شَارَكَ بِهَا السَّبْعُ الشِّدَادِ. He says, and if one does that, if one balances his or her temperament, then they will be equal with, or they will be in that realm with sab'a shidad. Sab'a shidad is often used in the opposite of the earth. So we will soar beyond just earthly being an earthly being. In other words, we will soar to that angelic realm or even beyond that angelic realm, that we will be a part of that. And so as we reflect upon our thanks and gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we reassess our humanity, the way we have behaved, the way we have acted in this year as individuals, but as a whole. I think one good practice as well, because we have to understand how our actions affect others. And if we're not understanding how our actions are affecting others, on one hand, we will not be able to correct ourselves in order to bring about a balanced state of being, in order to purify our thoughts of how we interact with others. So we have to understand sometimes the pains of others, that when we have done something towards them which was not in line with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to mankind. It's not in line with the example we see in Rasulullah and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdhalu salatu wasalam. And if it's not in line with that, then it's not in line with achieving perfection or becoming or achieving that full potential of humanity which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. And so one, I think, good practice or an exercise that we can do, a very simple exercise, is that as we are coming towards this holiday, as we know, as Thanksgiving, and as I mentioned at the beginning of my talk today, that it is also known to others as the National Day of Mourning. Yes, while most people, they look at one perspective or one narrative of this holiday, that, oh, well, we have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or we have to give thanks for the pilgrims and what happened. But if we only look at that aspect, then we forget that the Native Americans, that they were not treated properly. They were not treated as human beings. They were not treated as those children of Adam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states in verse 70 of Surah Isra, لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, the children of Adam, all of the offspring of Adam, whether those offspring are European, African, Native American, Asian, South Asian, doesn't make a difference. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored all of them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has carried all of them across the land and across the sea. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given sustenance from what is good to all of them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put that potential, has blessed all of Bani Adam by that potential which they have to soar and to excel beyond most of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. So as we come into this holiday, reflect a moment about the Native Americans who are here. Reflect about, again, one example we can give is the Wampanoag or Wampanoag tribe, who were the first to greet and actually show kindness and help the pilgrims when they came over, help them to survive. They embraced them with kindness, but yet they were treated ill. We should reflect upon this. Reflect upon even their state at this moment, and how we can perhaps help, we can reach out to them. One practice that we can do as well. One of the speeches that a member of the Wampanoag tribe by the name of Wamsutta, also known as Frank James, and this is his kind of Americanized name, but Wamsutta in 1970, this is not long ago, about 50 years ago, that he was invited to, again, this gathering of thanks, this Thanksgiving, to bring together some Americans and some of the Native Americans, particularly those who are from the Wampanoag tribe, who were the first to greet and to help and to assist the Pilgrims when they came over. So he was supposed to give a speech. And so he wanted to tell the other side of that narrative that many of us are so familiar with. He wanted to give the perspective from the Wampanoag tribe. But his speech was suppressed in 1970. He was not allowed to give that speech, at least in this gathering. So he refused to speak at all in that gathering. And then he went to the Plymouth Overlook, where they first saw the ships coming in from Europe to what we know as the Americas today, to their land. And he gave that speech there to his people, to the Wampanoag tribe, and anyone else who cared to attend. The speech is actually on the internet, on YouTube. You can find this. So, but if you listen to this speech, it is a speech that, yes, it tells the pain of a people. But yet, at the same time, it tells the story of humanity. It tells the story of, again, the kindness in which they embrace, the Wampanoag tribe, embrace people that they did not know, to help them, and how they were treated ill. But at the same time, the objective of humanity is to learn from that experience and to soar beyond that experience, so that humanity can reach its full potential that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about, that He has blessed mankind over much of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. But it takes those moments of reflection to be informed about how we act and how others perceive our actions, to reflect upon our own actions and how they may make others happy, console others, or how they may pain and hurt others. And when we understand this and when we assess this and we are able to, through this knowledge, as Imam Ali ﷺ, he states, to purify ourselves and purify our intellectual aptitude through knowledge, so that we can act upon that knowledge, and to balance our temperament so that, again, our interaction, our discussion, our way of life is one which we truly show that we are human, that we should truly show that we are walking on a path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants us to walk upon. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us this insight. He, again, purifies our intellectual aptitude through knowledge, and that He helps us to balance our disposition, our mazaj, our temperament, so that we may reach that full potential that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us to be. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins, to cover our shortcomings, to grant us our needs, to cure those who are ill among our friends and family members, to shed His mercy upon our deceased ones, and to hasten the reappearance of Imam Zaman, to establish justice in this world as it has been filled with injustice, and that He makes us among His helpers and His companions and those who sacrifice our lives for Him. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا وقضي حوائجنا واشفي مرضانا ورحم أمواتنا وعجل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشارين بين يديه وتحت لواء بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.